What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Hope everybody out there is doing well today. Hope that you are inspired and encouraged by the life you live and lead. I just wanted to try to say to the world today, Facebook family, the human family, and the 7.5 billion people on the planet, and particularly those of us that step on Facebook Live or Instagram Live and try to encourage the lives of human beings. Sometimes we are charged with a very difficult task in life, and sometimes that task seems insurmountable. But the limits that we set has a contributing factor to that. And we contribute to whatever life we choose, no matter which direction we go, whatever polarization, be it positive, negative, neutral, or whatever, we choose those states. And when you choose a state, you have to live in it, and you have to live through it. You have to gather the understanding that you as a person have been given this opportunity to see this world as you see it. And you get to pass along what you feel you need to pass along. And it doesn't matter even if it's right or wrong, it's just something that we have to pass along. And this has been done through generations and generations and millenniums. And it's been passed down to the current state that we find ourselves. And sometimes people always talk about the light in you. And still to this day, I try to search my inner being to find out what do we actually mean by the light in you. This world is a beautiful world. I mean, we have to admit that there's no way around it. Sometimes it takes us longer to figure it out, but it is a beautiful place. And it is a place where we store memories. It's a place where we speak about the things that we see. The world itself is going to be a memory for all of us sooner or later. But when people talk about this light in you, what exactly are we speaking on when we say that? A lot of us in the world are chasing dreams, man. And dreams are vital to the existence that you have in this world. It makes you feel alive. It's the thing that gets you up and keeps you motivated throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your month, throughout your years, throughout your life. A lot of us find it. For lack of a better phrase, some of us don't. Some of us live so reserved that when we think about the light in ourselves, we tend to think that it's everything that we think about. We seem to think that it's everything that withdraws us from the world, right? The light in you is something that you find in quiet times. You don't find it around people. People can only have conversations with you or I about what it is we think that we have uncovered about ourselves. And that energy that we have can go in any direction. I'm always under the impression that you go in the direction that you choose. And the thing about the light in you is that the energy that's manifested in you is based upon the fact that you have to make a choice. And when you make a choice and you go through with the choice, you can't undo the choice. It's a choice that you have stored in your memory that now follows you. And when I think about the light in myself, and when I think about the light in others, is the light in you, is it words that you say? For instance, you might say to someone, I really, really care about you, but in the back of your mind, you don't. You can say to someone, I don't care about you, but in your mind, you really, really do. But is that the light in you? Or is that just thought, just recognizing other thoughts and saying that you're speaking falsehoods either way you go? When you think about the dreams that you're truly chasing by the goal to accomplish it by any means necessary, is that dream ultimately, will it give you the peace and satisfaction that you need to live on the earth? Because that's what the dreams are for. The dreams are for what you manifest on earth. It's not what you manifest from where you come from and where you're going, but this journey through a physical existence. If you manifest a dream in the physical world, are you happy for the duration of your life? Will you have difficulties once you manifest a dream? Or will you have difficulties if you don't manifest a dream? And if you do, which one is most important? Manifesting dreams is what this planet was all set up for. It's kind of like maybe the human being experience of purgatory or something. That you got to clear up something in order for you to understand what your true power is. And it's not for you to be miserable 50% of your life and then try to be happy the other 50% of your life. Then because you're lukewarm when you do that. You have to have more of the other in order for you to feel satisfied and blissful and happy in the planet in which you inhabit. And there's 7.5 billion people on the planet, and that's increasing and decreasing simultaneously regardless of what we say or do. The 7.5 million people, do they have a dream? Is what you should ask them no matter what part of the world that they're in. Do you have a dream? And if you have a dream, can you manifest that dream in your lifetime? And some of us are really fortunate early on in life to get the breaks that we need. Some of us determine later on in life that dreams are worthy. And the one person that comes to mind is a young man named Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in the story, he chronicles his biological dad told him to get a good job and secure that, get good health benefits, and the world would be fine. However, his business dad was telling him that you gotta get out and become your own entrepreneur and independent worker and find out what it takes to become successful. And he recalled all of this from the age of 9 as to what it takes to be success. And in the book, he goes through the pros and cons of each, but what he gravitated to mostly was the one that would help him to be financially free. That he doesn't have to wake up and fight with the 9-to-5 system, that he can create systems and create opportunities for people to work for him so that he can enjoy the lifestyle that he chooses to lead. And there's a lot of examples, but he started at the age of 9 to recognize the fact that he wanted more in his life. And when you read the book, him and his best friend was going to create money. They was collecting toothpaste containers so that they can make money. And both fathers saw it as a novel idea of trying to create things. And then one day when the rich dad was telling them, well, you can work for me and I'll pay you $10 a day. And he was saying as a 10-year-old, that was a lot because you could get the comic books for $10 a day. But then he got frustrated with the fact that he was working for $10 a day at 9 years old. Now, you got to realize that the importance of it when you teach your kids about values and things that they see within themselves. He saw it as a disgrace at 9 years old to be working for 10 cents an hour. And he wanted to talk to his boss because he wanted to let his boss have it. Like, I really need to talk to him. And his friend was Mike. He said, well, hold on. Dad will be with you in a moment. Right now, he's holding a meeting with some people. And he was fuming at the time when he was doing this. And when you think about your dream, and you thinking about somebody controlling your dream, if someone has that key that you need, or they're blocking that gate, you want to have a conversation with the gatekeeper. But more importantly, you want to have a conversation with the person behind the gate, because the person behind the gate is the one that can ultimately free you for your dream. But it's still about the light in you, right? So all the adults leave. He pops in, and he gets ready to let the adult have a piece of his mind. And he begins to share that with the adult, and the adult was saying, I was hoping that you would get frustrated with 10 cents an hour. And then he say, what if I give you 25 cents an hour? And he thought about it the way he writes it in the book. He said, well, I tell you what if I give you, I think the normal rate like $5 an hour. And he said he got to the point where he knew that it was ridiculous for that. And the lesson in that was, you still got to make your own future. His dad said, then when he ended the meeting, he said, I'm not going to pay you anything now. If you want to learn how to make money, then you got to look for opportunities. Now, this at 9 years old put a light in him about opportunities, not the light about life, because he's only 9. But it gave him an opportunity now to say, now I need to find more. This is what you must do in your life. You have to find more. I don't know if it's going to make you happy ultimately. I don't know if it's going to be the revelation that you need, but there always have to be more to the life that you live. So at 9 years old, he's frustrated. And he's talking about looking for opportunity. He continued to work. He was missing all the baseball games, the things that he loved. He was still continuing to do the things that he needed to do, but now he is in this world where now I got to find an opportunity. One day he was walking, and he noticed that the clerk at the store that his rich dad owned was throwing away comic books. And it dawned on him why she was throwing away the comic books. He saw it all the time, but it never dawned on him that it was an opportunity for him to make money. And he went to her and he asked her, why are you throwing away these comic books? He said, can I have them? She said, yes, you can have them, but you can't sell them. And what she would do, she would take off the front cover and keep them and then throw away the entire book. So instantly, him and his friend came up with this idea. Now check this out. They came up with this idea that we would take these comic books and we would have a comic book store for young kids to come in and read the comic book as many as they want. And I think it was like for 25 cents. And it had droves and droves of young kids to come by and read the comic books. But the one beautiful caveat is that Mike had a sister, and she was the gatekeeper. She let everybody in. She collected the money so that they could still be free to do what they want. And they collected the money, and they paid her a little bit, and everything was fine. Until one day, some older kids, who was, to me, like envious of the idea that they thought and went in and started a fight and created this big ruckus, and that dissolved their business. But nonetheless, he saw the opportunity in doing that. In our lives, you have to look for the opportunities that allow you to find out what your purpose is. That ultimately he knew that what his biological dad was doing was good, but it wasn't going to be great for his life. Now fast forward. I think at the age of 49, or 47 or 49, he ultimately retired from business. He did go and get a college degree in finance, got a master's degree as a matter of fact. But he never stopped minding his own business. And even when he was working, I think it was for IBM, and he was helping everybody else get rich, and he never understood why he wasn't getting where he needed to be. But what he did was he took his money that he was making from IBM and he started investing it in his own business on the side. He became great at IBM stuff, but he was taking his money and putting it in things that he felt would be beneficial to his future. So later on in life, he would retire. You have to build this same foundation, and you have to understand that if he retired at 49, but he started at age 9, that's almost 30 years of pure investment in just understanding how the economy works. You're not going to get what he has gotten in 1 year, or you're not going to accomplish what you want in 1 year, regardless of what age you are. The only way I think that you can accomplish financial success in 1 year is if you hit the Powerball or the Mega Millions or any one of these lottery things that may be a game of chance. But pure work and dedication comes from you being able to get up every single day and work on what it is you love and what you're passionate about. Another person is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. These young men get up at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning while everybody else is asleep. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, when he have to go to sets, gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. While everybody else in the world is still sleeping, they're getting up because they're dedicated to what they're doing and they're passionate about it, and they work harder than anybody else in the field that they're in. Now, whatever you do, you still have to give 100% maximum into achieving what you want. But to be outstanding, you have to go beyond that. And the case with Michael Jordan was the game that he played where he had the flu. And he had to be carried up to his hotel room, carried off the court, and they won the game. And they asked him, well, why did you do that? He said, well, my team needed me. Therefore, I had to be out there for my team. And it wasn't him by himself, it was his team, but he knew that there was a crucial game for him. So he mustered up the strength to play the game. And after they carried him off the court and took him upstairs, he said he passed out. But nonetheless, he served his purpose. LeBron James in the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors, when him and Kyrie was together, and Kyrie made the winning shot, but forgot to go about playing defense. LeBron had to track whomever that was down that was going to lay the ball up to block the shot to win, to even win the championship. I mean, you understand, like, your alertness to your environment will give you those openings that you see in order for you to be a winner. And no matter what we say on these lives or what you read in these books, you have to make your life a living example of that. Steph Curry, when everybody counted him out as being wouldn't fit into the NBA, winning practice, shooting the basketball. I mean, maybe like 6-7 hours a day just to prove to the fact that when you reach a certain level, you have to work harder than everybody else. 2 championships for him for doing that. You got to be able to understand that the light in you is the one thing that leads you towards your passion. But once you get there, if you're passionate about it, what are you willing to do for it? What are you willing to do to impact the field that you're in? And these are the only thing that's going to matter. This is the only way you light the fire that's in you to accomplish what you want. Well, how do you do that? The number one thing that I hear like a lot of successful people talk about is that they spend time with themselves. And spending time with yourself, ladies and gentlemen, is the elixir to happiness, pain, joy, sadness, because in that you're dealing with your own mind. You're not dealing with the mind of your wife or your husband or your significant other or your children. You're dealing with your own self-worth at this point. And the light in you is always trying to get you to uncover all of these thoughts so that you can get radiant enough so that your aura can shine bright enough so that people can see that you're in your passion. Tony Robbins is always in his passion. Eric Thomas is always in his passion. Les Brown is always in his passion. Gary Vee, always in his passion. Antonio T. Smith Jr., always in his passion. Anthony Henderson, always in his passion. Rose Lindo is always in her passion. I mean, the list can go on and on with people that you know. But you are the deciding factor. And it doesn't matter how many spiritual books you read. It doesn't matter if you read any spiritual books at all. It doesn't matter about the business books that you read. It matters that if you read them, what are you going to apply to make the world that you're creating right now as we speak different, neutral, or the same? And we are in a self-quarantine situation. And sometimes when I see social media, they got the memes or they got the people being frustrated. Frustrated for what? What does frustration solve? But meditation will solve a lot. And I'm not talking about distraction. I'm talking about like literally sitting down and allowing your mind to run through all the thoughts that your life has ever had up to this point. And then if you want to even project to the future, be more than welcome to do so. But meditation doesn't deal with future uncoverings. Meditation deals with the here and now. And sometimes before you get to the now, you have to go to the past. You have to look up and dig up everything that made you cry, everything that made you happy, everything that made you frustrated, everything that you thought was a failure, but actually it was just you attempting to uncover your greater position in life. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't make light of this when I say this. You only have one life. And even in this one life, you're going to live many lives. You just, Deepak Chopra talk about when you're born, you'll have one life. When you become 5 years old, you have another life. When you become 10 years old, you have another life. All the way up until you get to where you are now, you have another life. But it's one continuous strand of the light that's in you. When you reach the apex of the example that you're supposed to be, maybe that light, that guided you, will make you realize that light was there all along. And when you talk about that which is divine, God is not limited by space or time. People just can't forget trying to even sell you that. That which is infinite is unknowable to that which is finite. But in our limited abilities, we still have the ability to achieve great things when given the opportunity. And the light in you is designed to do that. It's designed to show you. When you see other people doing the things that they do, regardless of whatever aspect they choose, they're still using their life force to do what they're doing, because no life force is no life. If you're sitting back and you're mediocre, then you're telling yourself, like, I have no life. Therefore, I would sit and eat myself to death. Or I would sit and I would drink myself to death. I would be miserable at the world because this quarantine that has been created for whatever reason has caused me to go into self-isolation. But you know that a bird flies solo a lot of times, not really caring if another bird joins in. But then there are a flock of birds that fly south for the spring, and they always have a bird on the point. One bird is the point man to get everybody there. But nonetheless, even in that flock, that bird is still an individual bird that's happened to be with the masses going to where they need to go to stay warm for the summer. Or an eagle, when it's up in the sky and it's solo, it's not really caring if anything is there or not. You are the greatest example of what divinity should be. You are the greatest example of what the light in us should be. And we should think carefully about what we want to do with that. We should measure ourselves in terms of what it is we want to accomplish in this beautiful world of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, I just had to really say that. And I just want you to know that time is precious. And people always say you can't get it back. That's an actual fact. You can't get it back. But wherever you start, whenever you start, remember that you're always starting in the now. You're never starting in the past, and you're never starting in the future. Whenever you start, it's going to always be now. But make sure that when you start and you have blocks, you have setbacks, understand that for us as human beings, maybe it's part of the process. But what we're not supposed to do is surrender to the pitfalls. Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he made some mistakes, went back and recalibrated and got back in the game. Gary Vee tell people that regardless of what people say or think about what you're doing, you keep doing what you got to do, and ultimately it works out for you. Tony Robbins, he doesn't believe in what, like, talking positive. He just believes in you changing your life, finding your own life force, and pursuing what you're passionate about. Antonio T. Smith Jr. the same way. People are just trying to help you find your voice. Lisa Nichols she's in the video that she's a coach, but this is the secret. She's in there going through the process back then and now, just trying to get you to do all of those things. Oprah Winfrey, the same way. Will Smith. I mean, tons and tons of people are giving you tons and tons of information. But if you got your thoughts blocking your light, then you're going to always have a fight. And even if you don't listen to any of those people, or you got some of your own favorites, it's cool. But what do you do with the time that you have? What do you do now that you're in a self-quarantine type situation and you have to make the most of your mind and your time? What do you find yourself doing? I find myself reading a lot. I find myself meditating. I find myself writing every now and then. But I mostly spend my time looking at nature, just so I can see, like the Buddha said, to find its inner mysteries. And like Jesus says, foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man have no place to lay his head. Prophet Muhammad had to go inside of a cave to get away and find silence so that he can give the world a book that he needed to give the world. I mean, what book are you going to give the world, ladies and gentlemen? Because you're going to give a book whether you want to or not. The book that you're going to give the world is going to be your life. That is your life. Your life is your book. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. Don't let them sell you any other elixir. Your book is your life. Whether you choose to write it down in form, like Kevin Hart did, or whether or not you choose to speak about it like anybody else, your book is your life. And when you write your chapters, you're writing the chapters of your life. Even if you say you love Lisa Nichols, or you love Antonio T. Smith Jr., or you love Gary Vee, or you love Tony Robbins, they are a part of the thoughts of the books of your life. But your life is, as simple as I can make it, is like this. I'm going to start from the sleeping position. You lay down at night. You have your children in one room. You have your pets in another room. You have your husband beside you. You might have your wife beside you. You might have your other significant other beside you. But you lay there and you say to them, good night, sleep well. You lay down and you have dreams. Sometimes you dream and sometimes you don't. But anyway, you lay down so that the body could regenerate. This is what Deepak Chopra says rest does to the body. It rejuvenates it. You are being rejuvenated while you're asleep. You awaken from your sleep, your eyes open. Once your eyes open, then you begin your day any way you choose. But remember this, that day begins a chapter in your life. That day begins to have a page in your book. However you choose to spend it, that's on you. And the way I would say this is 10 years from now, if you write a book, you will remember some of the major thoughts in your life. You can't remember everything. It's virtually impossible. But you remember key moments in your life. And this is what you would put in your book. And let's just say you don't write it. You would sit down with your children and you will recall the things that were funny, the things that need to be serious, and the things that you can overlook. The fact that you're going to fail, but you got to keep trying and never let nobody steal you from your dreams. You're going to have something of the like that you're going to share with your kids, and then you're going to share with the world. And at the end of the day, when you go back and you assume the resting position again, and there's a guy named Krishnamurti, he said that when you lay down before you go to sleep at night, he said take full stock of the day that you have. Go from the time that you wake up, go through all your business activity, go through all your personal activity, go to everything that you have done until you get into bed and you recall everything that you've done for that day. And then you'll see whether or not you lived a full 24 hours. And if you've done that, ladies and gentlemen, then you're on the journey to seeing the light within yourself. Some people can come and light your flame. and your thoughts could blow the flame out. But remember that somebody always came to light your flame, and it's up to you to keep it burning. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you guys for joining in. If you like this, please share with other people. The goal is to try to reach 7.5 billion people, which I know 7.5 billion people aren't on the planet. But it's my goal to try to see and share what I think are simple messages for complex time. But simplicity always beat the complex. And hopefully you find this message simple. I appreciate you for listening. And once again, have an amazing day. Peace.